I'm Chris.
I'm Sandy.
And this is Parenting Autism. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 106 of the Parenting Autism podcast. And hello, Sandy.
Hello, Chris.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Well, we're here with another podcast. Let's see. What have we been doing?
Well, we've been helping my parents move into their new place, so that's probably been the largest headline around here. But the good news is that they're getting settled, and my dad is doing better, and better than he was a couple weeks ago. I don't even remember what we talked about last time when we were on here, but anyway, that's what we've been doing and going over there most nights, and it's been good, really, really good. And
I think Bryce's main headline is his attention, right now.
Yeah. Do you want to completely switch gears?
Well, I was just naming another headline, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't talk all about Bryce, although it does seem like
this is about parenting autism, isn't it? Am I in the right studio? I don't know.
I know, but sometimes I feel like people think that's all we do, and it's like, no, we do have other things that we do.
Yes, we have trees in our backyard. We get the mail every day.
Oh, Lord have mercy. All
right. So why are we here today, Sandy?
I don't know. My head hurts. No, reason why we wanted to come on here today is because we're getting ready to go on another vacation. And seriously, if we didn't do this now, we wouldn't get back on here for a couple weeks. So we talked about on the last episode of the podcast that we would talk about the hyperbaric chamber. And we are now officially, is it 31?
32?
Yeah, because we've 32 because we've each done, we've about split it even. I think you're one dive ahead of me now.
Yeah.
Go, Chris, go.
And you have one to do tonight.
I do. I have one to do tonight before bedtime. So our goal, again, for those who haven't listened before, is that we want to use the chamber and take Bryce in for at least 60 hours before we have to return it. And that's in a 3-month span. And we're about halfway through. So we're kind of on target. Again, we're going to be leaving for several days to go on a vacation, but we can make that up. But I wanted to talk about it because I feel like we're halfway through, and I know some questions had come in like, well, what are the benefits of this? And why are you doing this? And are you seeing any progress? And my answer is the jury is still out for me.
When did we get that thing?
We got it at the end of May, right when we got back from our last vacation.
We didn't push it to June?
No. It came in May, and we started at the end of May.
So we got to the end of August. Mm-hmm. Yeah, our jury's out. It's not hurting anybody, so
it's not. And
all we can hope is that there's some new connections in his brain somewhere.
Well, I think one question that came the other night when I was talking to one of my best friends about this, and I was showing her what was in the bedroom because we were doing a FaceTime, and she's like, "Well, what are you hoping will come out of this?" So I will speak as to what I am hoping to come out of this, and then maybe you can share what you are hoping to come out of this.
I'm ready.
So what I am hoping to come out of this, for me, I probably won't really see this or know this, but I am hoping and praying that this oxygen will help prevent Bryce from having seizures as he goes into puberty, because he's already a high risk because of the brain bleed, and that he still has some spikes and sharps going on. So there is live activity going on up there in his brain. And he's also a high risk because he has autism. And that also makes him a high risk for that. And my understanding is that the brain will really take a shift when puberty begins. And that's when his risk for seizures will really increase. So I am hoping and praying that even though we can't really see his scans to see if it's helping him or not, I'm just really hoping and praying it's giving him extra protection.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's tied with my reasons, kind of. I agree with that. And I think also, in addition to the seizure thing, I'm just hoping that his area of his brain bleed was so large that I just hope that it's healing some of that gray matter that's just dormant and not active. I'm just hoping that it's building some new pathways there for him.
Right. And obviously I'm hoping for that too. And I believe that from like what I've seen or heard, and again, you've done more studies than me, but
yeah,
a lot of people say that they see great results right away because their children were not speaking. And then after doing some of the dives into the tube, then they were able to talk again. And we really don't have that need right now. I mean, thank God for that. But Bryce does talk quite a bit, and actually he talks a lot. And if there were anything that I would like to be healed language-wise for Bryce, it would really be where there seemed to be some disconnects or some faulty wiring to where he transposes words. He gets their meanings mixed up. Not just pronouns, which is fairly common with autism, but he also will mix up different senses. And I just am hoping and praying that, again, it can just kind of bring healing to his brain in that regard in the wiring. So that's where I'm just kind of going. Hold on, here's Bryce.
All right, we'll take a break right here, and we'll be right back.
Okay, we're back. So some of the things that I found online, because I know you did a lengthy researching on this. Well, I mean,
a long time ago.
I'm just kind of new to the game, but I did a little bit, especially because I knew we were going to do this podcast, and I don't think anything was really surprising and new to me, but for people who aren't familiar with it at all, it's supposed to decrease inflammation. It says it forces oxygen to be 400% deeper into your bodily tissues, increases your white blood cell formation, which should help prevent infections, and it increases your stem cell production. So I don't want to get into all the really technical stuff of it, but decreasing inflammation was one that caught my eye, because I know that was something that with you and I going in there with him, we were kind of hoping it might help with some inflammation concerns that we have about ourselves.
Yeah, inflammation and autism go hand in hand. If you look for that on the internet, you'll find a lot of studies where there's brain inflammation, there's inflammation in the body. So that's one of the benefits of it. And we also put a YouTube video on his channel, the Parenting Autism channel, about showing the tube, getting in and out of the tube, and how it works. So that might be helpful to some people. But yeah, our autism doctor, she was all over that when she found out that we're getting a rental. She's like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be amazing. Yeah. It's just going to benefit him and in his situation with his stroke and his autism,
and with autism,
and mostly I think she was concerned about the stroke part because of the seizure potential. So
I agree.
We really won't know until we cross the bridge or have another sleep study done, whether he's improved or not. And we probably won't have another sleep study done till next year.
January is when
if we want to keep doing it annually, or we could wait.
Yeah, as long as there's spikes and sharps and we're heading toward puberty, I definitely would like to continue to do that. Okay,
so then we'll be having another one in February. So
sorry, but yes,
stay tuned.
I didn't know that was in question.
February 24. Anyway, yeah, so she's like, if you can have them sleep in it, just have them sleep in. The more hours, the better, So we're not sleeping in it.
No.
But we take it 1 hour at a time. And like I said, it's kind of chill time when you get in there.
For me,
yeah,
I do find it to be that way.
Yeah.
I was going to say here.
At first, I was scared.
You were. I'm really proud of you for overcoming that, because I don't know that everybody could. And you definitely had the claustrophobic reaction.
Totally.
And we've talked about that before on here. You couldn't even get in at her office. You tried, and you're like,
she went to.
I really can't do this.
She went to grab the zipper.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I can't get out of here once I'm in. That's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So, and that happened when we got the rental. I got in there and I'm like, oh, I can't do this. You have to do the first one.
I did.
And so you did the
few.
first one or a few. And then I'm like, what is the problem here? So I figured out that once I did it a few times and knew how to get in and out, and the fact that it got hot in there, because I don't know, it just gets hot in there.
It does.
So I needed a little battery-powered fan, and I felt like I was getting more air that way.
I think it's a psych.
It's a psych thing.
It's a psych thing.
So, but Bryce was no problem. He's good. He's good to go. He
has no problems.
Yeah,
and for me, I like to go in there to relax. And when we started at first, Bryce wanted to be side by side, cheek to cheek, literally.
And still wants
and
to
him
be.
like all over me. And it was just, I'm like, dude, it's too crowded that way. So then I talked him into, okay, you have your head at one end and I'll have my head at the other end. And I told him, I just want to relax. I'm going to be in here with you and I'm going to be listening to my music. But if you need me, you just, tap me and I will know. And he's really okay with that now. And so I take my pillow, I take my headphones, I put on some good music, and it's an hour for me to just kind of relax and escape. And then it's funny because I read this and it said, why do I feel tired after hyperbaric oxygen therapy? Mm-hmm. And it says that fatigue is because the fact that something works harder and it's more oxygen is supplied. So you can expect that you should be fine after a little rest or a good sleep. Well, I find that I like to do, that's why I say I want to do it later tonight, because it does make me tired. And then when I get out, then I can just go right into sleep and have a really good sleep. So it's funny because I felt that before I read that. So that's legit for me, that it definitely makes me feel a little more fatigued or tired, but in a good way. It
would be hard to fall asleep in there because
I tried that.
The air rushing in, I guess it would be loud in there. It's not ear-piercing loud, but it's just like the constant rush of air through the tube.
But with playing my music, I could fall asleep. I told you last time I was in there, I felt like I was trying to sleep on an airplane. Because I don't sleep well on an airplane.
That's a good analogy.
Because it's like that same sound that you hear when you're on a plane. Yep. And so I'll put in the earbuds and then I can relax just enough. But it's hard for me to fall asleep on the plane.
I'd say it's a little louder than inside an airplane.
But the music kind of helps bring that down a little bit. Mm-hmm. So that, that part has been good and I enjoy that. But the one time I did fall asleep, because you're like, see how long you can stay in there, because, his doctor had said the more you could do, the better. Yeah. I think we were in there 2 hours and we had fallen asleep and Bryce was down for the count, totally asleep. No problem for him. I woke up and I must have felt like thirsty or something. But when I woke up and I saw I was in a tube, I'm not kidding, kind of wigged me out a little bit.
And I wasn't sleeping. So I heard you, and I'm like, are
so
you
then
ready
I
to
was
get
like,
out?
I'm like, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So. And then I was okay because I knew you were going to do that. But it did kind of mess with my mind a little bit, waking up and being inside this tube. It's like, I don't want to say like a coffin, but kind of like waking up.
Well,
in a box.
I can say that they supplied a pad for the bottom of the tube. And so we get in there with our pillows, and after about an hour...
That pad has a time limit. For my body.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
After about an hour,
for real,
pad or no pad, it's uncomfortable.
I start to feel it in my hips. Yeah. And that's why I guess if you're asleep, you don't really feel that because you're not conscious. But if you're awake, you're very ready to get out by an hour, for sure. I was just going to read through these notes to see anything else. Because I just want people to kind of understand it more. So,
well, I think we should point out there's a difference between what we're doing called mild HBOT and like the full blown.
And everything I
HBOT.
wrote on here was on the mild because I made sure I researched that.
If you might be familiar with hyperbaric chambers from divers that surface too fast and they get the bends. Well, they take them to a hospital that has a hyperbaric chamber, and it helps them recover from that. So one in the hospital is 100% pure oxygen inside. You cannot take any electronics or anything inside that could cause a spark, because it's 100% oxygen. It could explode, and you're under a higher pressure in the hospital setting. So this, I think we're at 4 psi, and then we have an oxygen generator that pumps oxygen in there at 10 liters an hour or something. So nothing like what's in the hospital setting, but there have been studies that show that this is still beneficial. And our pediatrician, she stressed, now when you do the hyperbaric, you want to do low pressure, not the high pressure. So
are we at 4?
Yeah,
I read something here, because again, it's like, what's the difference between soft and hard chambers? And it said one of the most common differences of a soft versus hard hyperbaric chamber is the pressure levels. Hard chambers are capable of reaching pressure levels of 6.0 ATA, while a soft chamber has the capability of reaching only 1.5 ATA.
Well, that's
so what's that
I
mean?
think that's atmospheres, and the gauge on the outside is PSI, pressure per square inch. Yeah. So
well, I know there's a big difference, but
Yep.
it should still be okay. It said on here, like, different, the therapy can help, I'm looking here, ADHD or autism. Actually, they listed that first. Then they said a brain injury, concussion, autoimmune conditions, Lyme disease, migraines, headaches, which I hope it helps my headache today, musculoskeletal and athletic injuries, athletic recovery, post-surgical hearing, stress,
There are
anxiety,
some
depression, wellness, and more.
there are some sports players that use it on a regular basis.
Right. But it also, says it's good for stress and anxiety and depression, which Bryce is really, he still has his issues with his anxiety that we deal with. And of course, you and I both, who doesn't deal with stress? Let's be real, in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. Then the research has proven that treatment is cumulative and is recommended at 60 to 90 minutes, which is what we do, and over 40 to 80 treatments for optimal results. And that's why we're shooting for 60.
So we do 60 minutes. We're at 32 and a half hours, and they recommend 40 to 60. So we're almost
40 to
there.
80. But yeah,
40 to 80.
I think we got a good goal, and I think we're going to reach that, which is good.
And it's cumulative. That's important.
That's what it said, cumulative.
So, and our doctor said it is cumulative. They did brain scans before and after treatments, and a while after the treatments were done, and they showed that the treatment was cumulative. You didn't lose any of the benefits from it.
Yeah. Now, there was a question here that said, what happens if you use oxygen when it's not needed? And it says if you take in more oxygen than your body needs, it can slow your breathing and heart rate to dangerous levels. So too much oxygen can lead to oxygen toxicity or oxygen poisoning. This can happen if you accidentally take in too much supplemental oxygen, or you use oxygen therapy when you don't need it.
Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about that.
I think for us, we don't have to worry about that. But I just read it and I thought, well, let me just do full disclosure here while we're sharing this, because we're not doctors. And I probably should really say that every episode that we talk about medical stuff. We are not doctors. We are not professionals. We are two parents that is parenting a child with special needs. In addition to autism, ADHD, also having brain trauma. And we're just trying different things to help him, because he is still having struggles. And that would lead to the next conversation that we were going to talk about, his regression that he's had lately with his attention span. His ADD is really, it's gotten worse. I agree. It's
I feel like he's
obvious
regressed
to me and you.
And this isn't the first time in his life that he's regressed, after we've done
seen
things.
Improvement.
Yeah, seen improvement.
Yeah.
So when we did our Philly trip in DC, we kind of were lax on the gluten and dairy, probably.
Yeah.
But more so
More so
gluten,
the
I would
gluten.
say. And he seemed fine being off the gluten, and I even mentioned that he was having almost regular bowel movements. I'm like, wow, I wonder if we could just take him off of gluten now. And so...
And what did I say?
No.
Thank you.
And so even after we came back, there was a couple of times where he had a hot dog and we let him eat the bun with it, that type of thing. And all of a sudden we start 4th grade a week or two ago, and I'm like, he is having a super difficult time concentrating. And now he's back to asking us what we said after we said it. And that was a phase that we went through a year or two ago, where we'd say, Bryce, blah, blah, blah. And he'd say, what did you say? Like he totally missed it. And so now we're repeating ourselves again. And he's just got some regressions going right now. Yeah. We played a game today.
Yeah.
And it was a good game. What was it called?
Allowance.
It's a really good board game for people out there that ages 5+, 2 to 4 players.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. It has money in it.
It's like Monopoly.
Yep.
Concept.
It's like the Monopoly board. You go around the board. Hi, Bryce.
Excuse me, I have to come in here. My card is dead.
Did you like our allowance game today?
Yes, I really would like you to charge this card, please.
Okay, I can't do it right now, but...
You finished with Auntie Sue,
We'll do it
okay,
later.
buddy?
I can't do it because I don't know how this works.
We'll do it after.
Well, it takes time, bud.
Yeah,
I really want to show Auntie Sue my card.
Well,
it'll have to be the next time.
yeah, it's not going to be tonight.
Okay, honey, because it takes time for it to recharge.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess we can use the drone instead.
Sure.
Use the drone instead, yep. Okay, so...
Are the batteries in the drone charged?
No.
Oh, boy.
We'll be right back.
Let's go charge it.
Okay.
So
we're
back to the allowance game. Which again, it was not complicated like Monopoly.
No, it was easy. Whoever gets to $20 first wins.
Which happened relatively quickly.
Yeah, we were done. The 3 of us were done in about 15 to 20 minutes, I'd say.
But it was really good.
You count
as
change.
far as the concept. Yeah.
You give the bank money when you land on one square. The bank pays you on another square.
They give you coins, like fake quarters, nickels, and dimes, and then dollar bills and $5.
You
so it
earn
makes
money
it good
by
for
doing
math.
chores.
Mm-hmm. And then you pay money
You
if
washed
you
a
do
car,
something.
you get $2.50, or you helped a neighbor, and you get
it's
$1.50.
got great concept. But
or
here was,
you went to a garage sale and you spent $1.20.
Right, or you bought a new toy.
And you spent...
Or ice cream, and you spent money.
Yeah, it's good.
Yes, but you were winning. You were much luckier than me and him.
Yeah, so he was having a little difficulty with that. He got sad at one point. And
sad to the point of tears.
Yep, sad to the point of tears. So, but he worked through it. I was proud of him.
He did, and I could tell you were like, getting a little frustrated. I even said to you, you better channel your inner RBT now, because I think he wasn't paying good attention. Then he was getting sensitive.
I think,
and you were.
I was more upset with the situation than I was with him.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I do.
It's like,
but still,
I'm almost mad at myself because I slacked on his gluten.
Because you're wondering how to, yes.
So I'm like, I was just, you know. But anyway.
I think you somehow, you convinced yourself that his bowel movements were better because he was having gluten. So you really laxed on it. And I was not happy.
Yeah.
Because So anyway, but now
over.
we're back on
The Bible
track.
says don't dwell on the past, look to the
That's
future.
right.
That's
So
what we tell Bryce all the time.
We do. So having said that, it's been, and I just explained to Bryce today, I said, because he's eating his gluten-free donuts for breakfast. And I said, Bryce, do you know that gluten's really not good for you and it's not good for your brain? You know how you're having a hard time lately? Like your brain feels kind of fuzzy? Yeah. And it's hard for you to think sometimes? Yeah. I said, that's the gluten. That's why you don't want to eat it. Because he has enough understanding.
Mm-hmm, now he does. Yeah.
And now he does. And so he goes, oh, then I better not eat those. I'll just eat my gluten-free. I said, that's right. And if someone tries to give you something with gluten, you tell him you can't. Mm-hmm. And if I tell him that, he'll stick with that because he will. And he doesn't want to feel that way. And he knows he's feeling that way. And it's pretty significant right now. And I've noticed other things like I had written a note here where he did some scripting, and he hasn't done that in a really long time. But you remember this when we were driving? We were driving to look at some property and houses up in Fort Pierce, and we didn't know the area. So you stopped and put on the hazard lights. Mm-hmm. And so Bryce was upset that he didn't get to press the hazard light button. And that's a whole regression thing too, him having to do everything first. Oh yeah. And press the button and all. We're back to that. Woo, boomerang. Yeah. So anyway, so he got upset because you're like, no, not right now, Bryce. And you kind of waved him off so you could look at the map and finish. And I knew it, but he didn't say anything. And then he sat back there and they started crying. But the one thing he said was he was really mad because we said something. And then he goes, you ruined my wedding. And then we looked at each other like, we ruined your wedding? And then he corrected himself after he goes, you ruined my wedding. You ruined my day. So that's what he was trying to say. And I thought, where in the world? So then I was in the tube watching the Mario Super Mario movie with him. And that's what Bowser said when he was most furious to Mario was, you ruined my wedding. Yeah. So he was expressing himself. He just didn't have his words to pull. He just knew he was so angry. He felt that angry that he wanted to throw Mario into a car. So he probably wanted to throw us somewhere. But, that's what scripting is. And I was reminded when I saw that note that I had written down, and then I had also seen somewhere else that always take it, these are the parents and anybody that works with people who, the children or adults that use scripting, they're trying to communicate. They're trying to tell us something. So don't just dismiss it as nonsense, because there's meaning often behind their words that you don't understand. And if you can ask more questions or listen more carefully and analyze the whole situation, and the key is truly listen later on things that they watch or things that they listen to, because you're going to then pick up like, oh, that's what they meant by that when you hear it, because it generally has meaning for them. Most of the time it's not just random jargon, and I think that's a really important reminder.
Yeah, we were driving through that neighborhood. I had to pull over. I didn't want him coming out of his seatbelt.
Oh, you didn't even say it in a really bad way. He was just sensitive. There's nothing on you,
Okay.
But anyway, no,
it's
I'm not trying to.
We shouldn't dwell on the past.
It's not. I'm trying not to make you feel bad, babe.
I know.
My whole thing was about scripting.
I feel bad now because I now relived the whole thing. I feel like Bryce. I'm reliving it.
Stop it.
I'm kidding.
Okay, so then I found this other note when I was going through something today, and this has nothing to do with you. So if that makes you feel any better, I promise. But I wrote this. I journal, so I had written some stuff down, and I found this from June 13th, 2021. So that would have been just around 2 years ago. And I put Chris. No,
has nothing to do with me.
I lied. Okay, let's say Sandy. I took the switch so Bryce could eat dinner. He fell to the floor and he said he would poke his eye with the fork. And we told him that we would be changing his foods to help him not fall to the floor. And he said that the gravity takes him to the floor and it hurts. And that was right before we changed his diet and stripped all the gluten and all the dairy out so that he could think more clearly and that he wouldn't hurt himself. And we really, truly saw a huge turnaround in him. Yeah. And I just had that reminder today come back across my desk, which is interesting because we've been having this conversation, especially today, like, wow, when you said it's got to be the gluten, I'm like, ding, ding, ding. Because I said to you, have you changed something again? I knew we changed the supplements. We did that to like help him not feel so sad. Mm-hmm. And that's working, by the way. It is definitely better. He was sad like every day. Yeah. And he's not sad every day. And he did recover today well. But, it's just a constant, oh, goodness.
Juggling.
It is juggling. It's hard to explain. I mean, it's hard to explain if you don't live in it. It truly is. And I think that's why when you meet somebody else and they truly live with it and they truly get it, it's nice to kind of have that parental support.
It's like we're juggling the rest of our life. You know, it's like, okay, I'm going to cook dinner, but on the side over here, I'm juggling. You know, we're going to go to the supermarket.
But is he
I
okay?
can
We don't
drive
want to
there,
do
but I'm
anything
still
that's not going
juggling.
to upset him.
Yes, it's like
Yeah.
It's like you're juggling all these things in your brain that you have to when you do things.
Well, there's so many things that...
Did we remember his headphones? Does he have his cord for his game?
Right.
This is this. This is that.
What are the words that he doesn't
Is
want
there
us
gonna
to
be
say right
balloons?
now?
You know,
No, seriously.
it's
Yeah,
like,
and the balloons.
How loud
and,
is it going to be?
Yeah. Are there going to be crying babies there? Is there a risk of that? So
Has he gone to the bathroom? You know, it's
I think
like,
every parent wonders that.
yeah, that's true. But you know, kids with autism, they don't always.
But they don't tell you.
They don't always know, right? Until it's time.
Until it's time.
But he's been a lot better.
That's been better with that.
So anyway.
But I was talking to... No, it's fine. That's what we're here to chat. I had gone out with Carla, our sister-in-law, yesterday to do a little birthday shopping. And she and I were talking, and we were talking about a few things with Bryce. It wasn't all Bryce, which was kind of a nice little escape for me. But we were talking about him, and we're in the process of changing churches, which we've mentioned on here before. And one thing I said was, you know, I felt like everybody was great at the church we were at. I just think the best way to say it is that the services that they provided didn't fit Bryce anymore.
I would say it was clearly God moving us out of there and into this church.
I agree with that.
Totally.
Totally.
You look for the signs, you pray about it,
Yeah.
and you see. And that's what happened.
And we have found this new church, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more. And I think when I was talking with Carla, I just said, you know, the comment was made, well, we think he should be able to go into the bigger room because he's, in air quotes, high functioning, which if you live in the autism community, you'll hear high function, low function, right? And it's because Bryce can talk. He has language. Bryce is outgoing in a way and friendly. He's not withdrawn. He looks completely normal. If anybody saw him, they would, other than when he has his headphones on, you see no signs of a disability unless he's flapping or has his headphones on.
And that's what people need to learn is that every kid on the spectrum has a thing.
Right.
And you got to know what the thing is.
You do.
And even after you tell people what the thing is, sometimes they don't remember.
Yeah, and that's what was kind of hard for us because I'm like, you know, they think they know him, but how can you know him if you only spend 90 minutes a week with him, where we're with him 7 days a week and all the time, you know? And everybody means well, but really, if you don't know him, you don't know him. And unless you're with him all the time, you don't really see what we go through. And believe me, how he is, it's just unpredictable when things are going to be there, you know? And he is a great boy. And we say all the time, oh, we're so blessed because he's loving. And because we can sit and watch, you know, BattleBots together. And it's not bad all the time, but there are definitely things. There are landmines. There are triggers. We're having to work through things.
Mommy, Daddy,
yeah, baby.
I'm so sorry. I have a tummy ache.
You have a tummy ache.
Was it that yogurt?
Or the pancake, I wonder.
If it was the yogurt, yes.
I think it was the yogurt.
I don't know. You use yogurts all the time.
I think you had too much
You
food.
going to be okay? Yeah, maybe you ate too much.
I think you just have a full belly. You going to be okay?
Tummy ache.
Okay. Are you done with Auntie Sue?
Yeah.
Did you tell her bye? Just tell her you don't feel good and you need to lay down.
I don't feel good.
He's going to go tell her.
Oh, poor kid.
Oh, he's playing with his Auntie Sue virtually, who's up in Maryland. Okay. I did want to talk about the church if we can just have a few minutes.
Yeah, if he'll give us a few minutes. Yeah,
If he'll
go
give
ahead.
us a few minutes.
Start.
Okay. So anyway, so on that note, I just want to say, like how Chris was saying, you know, when you're in prayer about things, and we have been in prayer about this for quite a while, and since we come back from the pandemic, you know, in 2020, things were a little bit different, but Bryce had his buddy, Miss Debbie, and he had other people there that, you know, were great with him, but we just knew it was time. So it was like, okay, this isn't going to work for now. We appreciate everything, but for now you can take us off the list for church and for buddies. And so Bryce has his friend Michael who his mom goes to a smaller church, which I think we mentioned because we were just going to try going, and Bryce really wasn't quite ready. And I'm thinking maybe on the podcast last time we had gone for the first time, but there were so many signs, and this is our third Sunday that we've gone. Bryce has given it a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10 all 3 Sundays. The first week he did really well. I don't know if I said this last time or not, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but it was so important and vital. And if you parent a child on the spectrum, you will know how this was like, such a godsend. But when we met the director of the children's ministry and we told him, that Bryce had autism and he had some sensitivity with sounds, and could we just check everything out? He took us into the room. He played the sound through the speakers to the volume that Bryce would be hearing it. Bryce gave it the thumbs up. He was okay with that. We explained to Bryce it'll be a little bit louder when there's other kids in here, but they only have like 10 to 20 kids, and they average around 15 each Sunday, which is so reasonable, for Bryce. And plus he has some new friends that he can meet. But the biggest thing was the director excused himself, and then he came back and he brought this girl in with a young girl, and we learned that she was 13. He introduced her. It was his daughter, and she's also on the autism spectrum. So, he gets it. He totally gets it. Like what I was just talking about, the importance of someone being with your child who gets it. And even though he's not the one in the room with Bryce all the time, because they have different volunteers, he's over it. He's accessible. And he gets it. So to me, that was huge, huge affirmation that this may be where God wants us to be. Then you and we went into the service because it's equally important that we enjoy the church service too. But we love the pastor. I love his delivery. He preaches a great message every week. You and I had even talked about, like, we like the idea of a church too that really studies the Bible more, that we could learn more that way instead of just doing like a topic series. And they announced today they just started about the life of Jesus through the book of Luke. And it's going to be going on till March, like an in-depth, deep study about Jesus.
Yeah, like 9 months.
8 months. Yeah, it's like everything that our hearts were being prepared for is being available here. And it is a smaller church, and I feel like we can get plugged into this church and bring our talents and gifts and that the Lord's given us to help this ministry. So we're getting ready to go on vacation, so we'll be gone the next 2 Sundays. But then when we come in, I really feel like that's where God's wanting us to plug in. And it's like you said, when he gives you just affirmation after affirmation, then you're in his will. What more could we ask for, And I think Bryce is going to be just fine there. And he said he wanted to get to know friends. And he said there was one boy, he goes, I saw one that would be my friend, but I was afraid to talk to him. Mm-hmm. So when we get back, I'm going to either see if I can stay in there one Sunday so I can help introduce some friends, or if somebody there will really make that effort to get Bryce interacting, and find him that special friend that's in there. That would be great. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So there's good things happening here. Like we said, there's a lot of changes happening. Bryce is still in between therapist right now for speech and for OT. We're working on that. I think it's insurance. You all know how long that takes. So hopefully when we get back from vacation, that will get on track.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to our listeners over in Middle East and Asia. I mean, like countries like Iraq and like Zimbabwe. I mean, people are listening way over there, to our podcast, which is really pretty amazing. Yeah, Africa. And so, yeah, shout out to you guys over there.
Yeah, and thank you. For taking time to listen and to our journey. And
we also launched a way to help us spread the word farther. And I think there's a monthly thing that you can sign up for. What's that called when they sign up to support the show? Yeah, support the show. It's like a $3 contribution a month or something you can start at. and
How
that
do you
would
do that?
That would help us. I'll give you the link, and you can put it in the show notes. I also published it on Instagram and our Facebook page, the link.
Great.
So people can find it there. But we'll put it in the show notes if somebody wants to help sponsor us.
Well, I can tell you what that will help go toward. It helps go toward the cost of doing the podcast, which, again, we're doing it out because we feel called to do this. But it can also, if there are enough funds coming in, it can help with the book that we've got that's also being edited. And we got to get published. And it's with the editor right now. So, maybe this is a way the Lord will help provide so that we can get the book out there. It's called Parenting Autism, The Early Years. And it's about really the first 9 years of this journey, because Bryce will be 10 in October. And it gives hope. It's very transparent. It's as real and raw as we are here on the podcast. We share a lot of our personal stories, and we talk about, how it affects Bryce, but also how it has affected us. It's affected our marriage and all different things,
So if we have a listener out there who's published a book, we're having it edited right now, but if you've gone through a publisher and you can share your experience, we would love that. Parentingautism@att.net. Shoot us an email and let us know if you have somebody that you recommend for publishing and what your experience was. We really, really appreciate that.
Because we're in prayer about that now, like what route to go and what we're going to do for the publishing part while it's with the editor. So,
all right. 106 is in the books, huh?
Yeah, it's in the books, and I'm sure we'll have stories after vacation to share as well.
Yes.
Okay.
We
well,
will.
Thanks everyone for listening. We hope that you have a good week.
Yes.
May God be with you, and we'll talk to you again soon.
See ya.
Bye.